just a little bit of background. After, 17 years now of men's work that I've been doing within Mankind Project, I noticed that there was a tendency to do shadow work pieces, which there's an awful lot of processes for that kind of thing. And there's a tendency to get stuck in the shadow work without ever making the transition to what's beyond the shadow work. And it's something that just made an awful lot of sense to me to bring into my gold mining men's work, because it helps to identify the real desires at the core behind the stuff that we're working with. So the intent is to find the ally within the shadow, or the ally that's underneath the shadow, and it's very good for digging down to that. Also, if something doesn't have a positive intent, it's also very good in that discernment process, because then we can know that whatever we're dealing with is not self, that it is in fact not us. So I'm looking forward to doing an example of that today, and then being able to share this work with others.
I'm looking forward to it as well, and also to be the model today for it and allow you to lead me through a positive intent process. Will be beautiful to do that publicly here and share it for others to benefit. And to give a little context around this too, this is generally a two-person process, the way I've experienced it through Omega Point program and the men's work we do, where one person is leading another person through it. And for me, I've found when I've shifted this process and gotten to lead it to other people, I've really been encouraged by how we really get through shadow, and we really get to what am I wanting here, and what's the deeper layers behind this. I've experienced this practice as working. I think that this on its own is a process that's just useful and accessible for people right now to put into practice. And we'll share some resources. You can use this episode as a guide, and I'll share some links below for people who want to just utilize this process with each other and with themselves to find more clarity and more positive intent as they move through their own healing and their own growth journey.
Terrific. Okay, let's go.
Let's jump in. Yeah, so let's model this like we would in our men's circle or other forums. I guess I'll share the challenge first, like we're doing some work here that I'm facing.
Yeah. So what's up for you?
So what's up for me? So what's alive for me in the last couple of weeks is I've had this experience of making a podcast. You guys, if you're listening to this, you're aware that I have a podcast. And on the podcast, I made many episodes lately and found myself afterwards in this period of creativity and expression and sharing. I found myself critical or judgmental of things I've said, ways I've said things, and I'll hyper focus in on one quality of my speech or a comment I made that I felt like could be taken out of context or could be misinterpreted, and places I feel critical of myself. And so I found that experience of perfectionism and self-judgment has caused some suffering for me and has been a blockage for me creatively that I'm working through intentionally and actively.
Okay. Can I feed a little of that back to you to make sure I'm getting it?
Sure.
So I hear that when you're engaged in the creative process of this podcast, that in the time after the creative process, there tends to be a critic that comes up that is negative around something that you said or some comment that you made or something of that sort. Am I hearing all that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So let's use that as the launching point to go into the process. What does that critic inside you want?
That critic wants to be understood and accepted and seen clearly, and not misjudged or misunderstood.
Okay. So seen and understood and accepted.
Yes.
Okay. So just go ahead and let the critic speak to this. So if you were seen and understood and accepted, what would that do for you?
Being seen and understood and accepted.
If you had that fully and completely, what would that give you?
I feel like it would create more confidence and groundedness in creating and in my life.
Okay. So confidence and groundedness in creating in your life. Is there a particular place that lives in you where you notice that?
I feel that sort of above my stomach, below my chest, kind of in that lower, in the solar plexus.
Solar plexus kind of area.
Region,
Okay,
yeah.
so go ahead and breathe into that confidence. And then speaking from that place, is there anything that this confidence and this groundedness gives you? Anything deeper than that?
I'm feeling self-love and peace are the things coming up.
So the confidence and the groundedness leads to self-love and peace. And by the way, I'm glad that you're demonstrating that you can hang out with that for a minute and be patient with it, because that's part of the process too, is getting down to that. So does that self-love and peace also live there in the solar plexus area?
Feeling the self-love more in my heart,
Mm-hmm.
peace kind of, in the solar plexus and my breath.
Okay, so just breathe into that. Let that peace and that self-love expand. And then just do a quick check and see, is that the core desire, is to experience self-love and peace?
Feeling another desire coming up too, which is around freedom and play.
Mm-hmm.
That this judgment, this challenge is obstructing the freedom to play and be myself.
Yeah. So self-love and peace that leads to freedom and play. Yeah. Okay. All right. So just go ahead and breathe into that sense of freedom and play, that lack of judgment, the self-love and the peace. Let it expand. Just let your breath fan it and let it grow inside you beyond anything that you might have imagined before. And just spend a moment hanging out with that. Just notice how it feels to experience that self-love, the peace, and the freedom and the play. Just hang out with it. And I can already tell it feels really good.
Oh, yeah.
I hope that what's landing is that this is the way to take the things that we might have either ignored or pushed off for a long time, and to look at them and create an entirely different relationship with that part of us, and be able to harness the energy that's in whatever negative judgments were there in a good way, and be able to bring that to help move us toward our purpose and our missions in life. That's why we use it in the gold mining group for the men's work, is because it really does help very quickly to define, how can I use this to support my life's purpose?
Beautiful. Yeah, I've just seen it again and again support me and other men and other people now as I'm sharing it in other spaces too. So I'm really love to hear from people who try this process, how this goes for them. If they have any questions on the positive intent process, you can reach out. I'm going to share Kevin's info here for men that are also interested in joining the circle here. If you want to email, you can learn more about the gold mining circle in our last episode too, which is the most common place I see this being used, but there's other beautiful forums such as the Omega Point program, where you can get a taste of this in a safe container with others. And so I think I'm just really grateful also to you. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing this with me and for guiding me through it today. I really appreciated this.
Thanks, Jake.
Check out the Facebook page, like and subscribe, please, really helps out. Yeah, this was a pleasure again. And just to everybody out there, keep on growing.
Thanks, Jake. Blessings to you.